In the previous episode, after the fierce battle and the trials of the 10 collapses, Wang Lin was granted the rank of commander in ancient Demon City. He had proven his strength before General Yun Lihai, and though he did not break all 10 collapses, his wisdom and restraint earned him respect. Now, with his new position secured, he retreated to an inn to cleanse the demonic energy still lingering within him. For 4 days, he meditated in silence, suppressing the wild demonic ideals threatening to consume his Tao heart. On the 5th day, he ventured into the city, a place filled with ancient power and strange vitality, where he found himself sitting inside a lively restaurant, tasting a wine that reminded him of his mortal days on planet Suzaku. Those memories, long buried, began to surface once again. As Wang Lin sat in the green bamboo restaurant, the taste of wine filled his senses and stirred something deep within him. The strong, mellow flavor reminded him of Da Niu's wine, the same rustic brew he used to drink in the quiet village of his youth. Those days as a mortal had been the most peaceful of his life. The years when his heart was untroubled and his cultivation progressed with quiet steadiness. He sighed, lifting his cup once more. Each sip carried him further back in time, back to a life long gone. The memories of Suzaku, of Da Niu, and of the mortal warmth he once knew began to cloud his heart. Before long, the nostalgia grew so strong that he no longer noticed the world around him. The cup in his hand shattered, shards cutting into his palm. Yet he didn't flinch. His mind was lost between the past and the present. 13 and Hu Pao, sitting beside him, exchanged worried looks. 13 silently poured more wine, hoping to calm his master's thoughts, while Hu Pao fidgeted. After some hesitation, unable to resist temptation, he poured himself a drink. But before he could enjoy a second cup, 13's cold glare stopped him. Hu Pao sulked quietly, glancing longingly at the untouched wine. Outside, the clatter of armor broke the stillness. The heavy rhythm of boots and steel echoed closer until 7 or 8 demon soldiers strode arrogantly into the restaurant. Their black armor gleamed under the dim light, and their eyes were sharp with battle-hardened pride. The waiter greeted them, but one soldier shoved him aside, barking, "Bring your best wine and dishes, now." The room grew tense. Patrons quietly paid and hurried out, leaving only Wang Lin's table and the soldiers. The leader of the newcomers, a man with a gloomy face and oppressive aura, sat at the head of the group. He grabbed a large jar of wine, broke the seal, and drank deeply before smashing the jar, deliberately, near Wang Lin's feet. 13's eyes darkened. Hu Pao clenched his fists but forced himself to stay still. Wang Lin, lost in his memories, seemed oblivious. The demon soldiers began talking loudly among themselves. "Lord Commander," one of them said, "when that outsider arrives the day after tomorrow, we'll show him who the real commander is." Another chimed in, "I heard he's a foreigner. The general made an exception for him, didn't even pass all 10 collapses." The gloomy-faced commander sneered, "Foreigners, strong or weak, they all bleed the same. I've killed a few before. If this one dares to take my position, we'll use the immortal slaying formation on him." A hush fell over the soldiers. The threat in his voice was unmistakable. At that moment, Wang Lin sat motionless, the demonic energy he had sealed within himself beginning to stir again. Celestial spiritual energy leaked from his body as the demonic ideals pressed against their seal. The balance within him trembled. 13 sensed the change instantly. "Ancestor," he whispered, voice full of alarm. The gloomy commander suddenly stood, his eyes narrowing at Wang Lin's group. "I'm in a bad mood today," he barked. "You 3, scram." Without warning, he hurled a wine jar across the room. It shot through the air like a projectile, striking toward Wang Lin's table. 13 caught it mid-flight, but the force was overwhelming. The impact sent him crashing backward, blood rising to his lips. Hu Pao's eyes turned cold. Rage flickered in him, but he knew this was not the moment. The commander sneered, "You're still here? Do you want to die?" One of his soldiers laughed harshly and began walking toward them. Before he could take another step, 13 moved. His body flashed like lightning as he punched forward. Their fists met with a thunderous crack. A shockwave rippled through the restaurant. The soldier spat blood and flew backward, smashing through a table. But 13 staggered too, pale and trembling. His earlier injuries reopened, and his arm hung numb at his side. Hu Pao's fury ignited. He pulled out a handful of soul flags and waved them sharply. A chilling wind swept through the room as countless ghostly fragments appeared, swirling like phantoms around the soldiers. The demon soldiers roared, drawing their demonic energy to counterattack. 6 of them moved together. Their killing intent merged as 6 strands of demonic energy burst forth like raging dragons. The energy tore through the room, forcing the soul fragments back. The restaurant groaned under the weight of their power. 13 and Hu Pao stood side by side, faces pale but resolute. They both knew the truth. Even if they died here, they would not let harm come to Wang Lin. For the first time, Hu Pao looked at 13 and felt a flicker of respect. The gloomy-faced commander watched them coldly, but suddenly his expression changed. He shouted, "Withdraw your energy, now." It was too late. The 6 strands of demonic energy went wild, spiraling out of control. Before anyone could react, they surged toward Wang Lin and vanished into the center of his brow. The room fell silent. The nostalgic daze in Wang Lin's eyes vanished as he exhaled slowly. A dark, potent aura spread through the air, and his gaze sharpened like a blade. His voice was calm, but the power behind it made even the demon soldiers tremble. "What a powerful demonic ideal," he murmured, a faint light flickering in his eyes. And in that instant, everyone in the Green Bamboo restaurant understood. The quiet man they had provoked was no ordinary commander. He was something far more dangerous. When Wang Lin's eyes cleared, a sharp light returned to them. For a moment, surprise flickered across his face. What had just happened, being lost in his nostalgia, was more dangerous than any battle he had fought. For a cultivator, one's Tao heart must be unshakable, unyielding, untouched by emotion. But the demonic path was different. It was a road of cold wind that pierced not only the body, but the heart and the soul itself. The longing that had nearly consumed him wasn't simple sentiment. It was the awakening of a demonic ideal, a dangerous flaw that had been lurking deep inside since he began walking the demonic path. Although he had suppressed it, the trace of demonic power in his body had stirred, turning nostalgia into a trap that nearly devoured his mind. Ancient cultivators once spoke of extraterritorial demons, unknown entities that slipped into the hearts of those seeking enlightenment, destroying their Tao hearts from within. But in this age, the Cultivation Alliance dismissed those tales as superstition. They believed the demons were not external at all. They were born from within one's own imbalance, from the war between reason and desire. That was the truth of what had nearly overcome Wang Lin. His yearning to return to planet Suzaku had been the voice of his demonic ideal. It could have lasted for days or even years, but fate intervened. The demonic spiritual energy of the black-armored soldiers had surged through the restaurant at that exact moment, breaking the chains of his illusion and giving him a single, clear instant of awareness. That moment was all he needed. Inside his body, demonic spiritual energy collided with celestial spiritual energy, forming a powerful vortex. This balance, the fusion of the two forces, was something he had long prepared for. Now, he allowed them to merge completely, devouring the demonic soldier's energy and using it to strengthen his own. In less than a breath, the storm within him was calm again. 13, who had been bracing himself for the worst, let out a deep sigh of relief. As long as Wang Lin stood, nothing could harm them. Hu Pao, too, relaxed, drawing back his soul fragments and standing beside his ancestor. Across the room, the 6 demon soldiers who had attacked looked pale and weak. Their energy was gone, devoured. Fear replaced arrogance in their eyes. Even their commander, the gloomy-faced man, stood up and demanded cautiously, "Who are you, sir?" Wang Lin didn't answer. He simply picked up an unopened wine jar, turned his back, and began walking out of the restaurant. 13 placed several demon stones on the table and followed, while Hu Pao gave the soldiers a cold sneer before leaving behind them. "Stop!" the gloomy commander roared. Demonic spiritual energy burst from his body, filling the air with a suffocating black aura. The restaurant walls shook as the energy condensed into dozens of sharp demonic swords that lunged toward Wang Lin's group. Wang Lin stopped and turned slightly. his eyes cold and distant. He raised his hand, and a strange gust of wind swept through the room. The demonic swords shattered instantly, dissolving like smoke before his power. His voice was calm, almost indifferent. "We will meet again." And with that, he left. Back at the inn, Wang Lin sat cross-legged on his bed. Celestial spiritual energy flowed gently through his body as he examined himself. What had happened earlier had shaken even his steady heart. He had underestimated how powerful the demonic ideals could become once awakened. Slowly, patiently, he searched every corner of his being for the remnants of that corruption. Each time he found a trace of demonic ideal, he burned it away with celestial light. By dawn, his breathing was steady again. Before him floated 3 black, cotton-like orbs, the purified remnants of those demonic ideals. He gazed at them thoughtfully. These could destroy another's Tao heart if used properly. A faint gleam passed through his eyes as he stored them away. Then he murmured, 7 days are almost up. The demon general said someone would come to take me to the barracks. Moments later, 13's voice came from outside. "Ancestor, someone wishes to meet you." "Enter," Wang Lin replied calmly. A thin man in black stepped through the door, his aura cold and sharp. The instant his eyes met Wang Lin's, his expression turned respectful. He clasped his hands. "Greetings, Commander Wang." Wang Lin took out a green token and tossed it over. The man examined it carefully, nodded, and returned it. Then he bit his lip and drew strange runes in the air. A blood-red formation appeared, complex, pulsing with demonic light. Wang Lin looked at it and said softly, "A transfer array." The steward nodded. "Indeed, but unlike your cultivator's arrays, this one was crafted by the demon emperor himself. It allows pinpoint transfer." He stepped into the formation and vanished. Without hesitation, 13 followed, ready to risk his life to protect the ancestor. Wang Lin gave a slight nod of approval and stepped into the array. Hu Pao grumbled under his breath but followed close behind. The world distorted for a moment, and then they emerged on the other side. At once, a thunderous roar filled the air. The sound rolled across the land like a tidal wave, shaking the ground beneath their feet. 13 stumbled backward, blood surging in his chest. Already injured from before, he couldn't withstand the overwhelming shock and spat out a mouthful of blood. Hu Pao fared no better. His demonic energy went wild inside him, raging through his meridians until he almost lost control. But then, a gentle force touched his shoulder, Wang Lin's hand. Instantly, the rampaging energy quieted, bowing as though in submission. Wang Lin withdrew his hand and sent a strand of celestial energy into 13, soothing his wounds before turning his gaze forward. Before them stretched an enormous fortress built entirely from black stone, the Black Armor Barrack. It spanned 50 kilometers, its walls towering dozens of feet high, glowing faintly with demonic enchantments. At the very center stood tens of thousands of demon soldiers, each clad in black armor. Rows upon rows of them formed tight formations, their bodies radiating killing intent. 10 regiments, 10,000 soldiers, stood facing him. Every soldier exuded thick, battle-hardened energy. The weakest among them possessed the power of 30 ranks of demonic cultivation. While some radiated more than 100, the air was dense with their murderous aura, heavy enough to crush the heart of an ordinary man. The world seemed to fall silent under the weight of that killing intent. 10,000 pairs of eyes locked onto a single figure standing in the center, their new commander. Wang Lin stood there calmly, his expression unchanged, his robes fluttering lightly in the wind. Against the pressure of 10,000 battle-hardened warriors, his gaze remained steady and cold. And in that moment, it felt as though the killing intent of all 10,000 soldiers met something even sharper, his eyes. When Wang Lin stepped out of the transfer array, the world trembled with the thunderous roar of 10,000 demon soldiers. The air itself seemed to shake beneath their united killing intent. Their collective roar was thick with demonic energy, so powerful that it could rival the battle cry of a soul transformation cultivator. Before him stood row after row of soldiers clad in black armor, each one radiating murderous intent. Among them, the steward of the army gave a faint, mocking smile and coughed lightly. His voice was casual, but his words carried purpose. "Where is Commander Sima?" he asked. A low rumble echoed in the distance. It grew louder, closer, until the ground itself trembled. From beyond the horizon, a massive beast appeared, galloping forward like a living storm. It was enormous, its body covered in black scales, and from its forehead jutted a sharp, curved horn that glowed faintly with demonic light. Standing atop the creature was a man wrapped in black armor marked with streaks of purple. His helmet hid most of his face, leaving only a narrow slit through which his eyes gleamed with cold killing intent. The instant he had seen Wang Lin appear, his eyes had flashed with surprise, but now, that flicker of emotion was gone, replaced by pure hostility. As the beast thundered into the open space, the ranks of demon soldiers parted neatly to make way. Dust rose in thick clouds until the steward waved his sleeve, dispersing the air with a gust of wind. He turned toward the black-armored man and said with deliberate emphasis, "This is the newly appointed commander, Vice Commander Sima. Are you not going to greet him?" The title, Vice Commander, was stressed, a subtle reminder of rank. The man dismounted, his armor clanking, and his voice came out cold. "Sima Yan greets Commander." Wang Lin's expression remained calm. His tone was even, but his words carried weight. "We've already met." A chill swept through the air. Slowly, Sima Yan reached up and removed his helmet, and there it was. The same gloomy face from the restaurant. The steward watched silently, his eyes unreadable. Then he clasped his hands and said politely, "Commander Wang, I have fulfilled my duty bringing you here. I must return now and report to the general." Wang Lin gave a faint smile. "Thank you, Lord Steward." With a nod, the steward turned and stepped into the glowing array, vanishing in an instant. The moment he disappeared, silence fell over the entire barracks. 10,000 soldiers stood motionless. The air was heavy, so heavy that even the sound of breathing echoed faintly in the distance. Sima Yan's cold voice broke the stillness. "All 10,000 black armor soldiers are assembled, except for the 6 who are still unconscious from that little incident." Wang Lin's gaze swept across the sea of armored figures. Everywhere he looked, he saw contempt, mockery, and thinly veiled hostility. His eyes hardened slightly, and then his voice cut through the air like a blade. "All of you may leave." No one moved. Every soldier's eyes turned to Sima Yan. Their loyalty was clear. Unless he commanded them, they wouldn't move an inch. Without another word, Wang Lin began walking forward. His pace was slow, steady. 13 and Hu Pao followed behind him, their faces dark with suppressed anger. As they walked past the 10 regiments, a wave of laughter erupted behind them. The laughter rolled through the camp, open, mocking, and full of disdain. To them, the new commander was a joke. Only Sima Yan didn't laugh. He frowned, his heart uneasy. If he had been in Wang Lin's position, he would have acted, shown power, made an example. Anything but leave so quietly. This calmness, this indifference, it felt wrong. He finally barked an order. "All of you, back to training." His voice exploded like thunder. In perfect unison, the 10 regiments broke apart and resumed their brutal practice drills. Within the camp stood a simple wooden house, protected by a faintly glowing formation. A massive black flag fluttered beside it. The name, Sima, embroidered in golden threads. It was clear whose residence it was. Beside it lay the ruins of another house, freshly destroyed. Hu Pao looked at the wreckage and clenched his fists, fury burning in his chest. "Ancestor, these demon soldiers have gone too far." But Wang Lin's expression didn't change. His tone was calm. "Don't bother with them, since there's no place for us to stay. We'll just cultivate outside." He found an open area near the edge of the camp, sat cross-legged, and closed his eyes. Hu Pao sat to his left, glaring coldly at the passing soldiers, while 13 quietly took position on his right and began cultivating as well. Time flowed slowly. By nightfall, the sounds of training still echoed through the camp, shouts, clashes of weapons, bursts of demonic energy. Each passing soldier threw them disdainful glances. But Wang Lin remained completely still. His heart was as calm as still water. He wasn't ignoring them out of weakness. He was observing. though his eyes were closed. His divine sense spread across the entire barracks. He watched every soldier, every formation, every hidden power structure within the 10,000 troops. Each regiment of 1,000 had its own leader, Sima Yan's loyal confidants. Even the 6 soldiers he had defeated earlier held influence among them. Wang Lin understood now why the demon spirit land functioned the way it did. This wasn't a place where strength alone could dominate. Here, military law reigned supreme. To borrow the army's power, one had to belong to it. If he acted rashly, if he struck out and killed, he would only break the law and lose everything. The demon emperor tolerated no rebellion. Foreign cultivators who came here were required to join a country, command troops, and earn military merit to gain recognition. Without that, they would never reach the goal of fusing with an ancient demon. Wang Lin knew that killing even a handful of demon soldiers could bring disaster. The army's hierarchy was rigid. If too many disobeyed, the blame would fall on the commander himself. Many powerful cultivators had failed here for that very reason. So he waited. He waited like a hunter in the shadows, silent and patient, waiting for the perfect opportunity to act, an opportunity to crush resistance in one decisive move. 3 days passed. Wang Lin hadn't moved from his spot. 13 quietly studied a jade slip Wang Lin had given him, memorizing every line. Hu Pao, on the other hand, was reaching his limit. Every sneer and mocking glance from the soldiers stoked his fury. But the calmer Wang Lin remained. The more uneasy Sima Yan grew. From his quarters, Sima Yan sat with his head bowed, rubbing his temples. Each passing day felt longer than the last. This silence, it wasn't the stillness of peace. It was the stillness before a storm. "What is this man planning?" he muttered. Around him sat 8 men, the regiment leaders, all trusted subordinates. One of them, a massive bald man with a living scorpion tattoo crawling across his head, spoke in a low, gruff voice. "Lord Commander, Shu Yu and Zhou Kai haven't shown up. They barely interact with us. Since you've called everyone here, what do you think we should do?" Sima Yan's frown deepened. He could feel it. A crisis was coming, though he couldn't yet see how or when. He looked up at the gathered men, his voice grim. "We'll deal with them later. For now, I want to hear what all of you think about the new commander." The room fell silent. The air was heavy. Even Sima Yan could feel it. The unease that Wang Lin's silence had spread throughout the entire black armor barrack. One of them, a middle-aged man with sharp eyes and an arrogant smirk, leaned back and said with disdain, "What opinion could we possibly have? That new commander is a waste of space. He's done nothing for half a month, not worth our attention." He spoke with utter contempt, his tone dripping with scorn. To him, no foreigner could ever be worthy of leading them. But across the table, a white-haired old man in black armor shook his head slowly. His voice was calm but thoughtful. "Regiment leader son, you're wrong. Anyone who can stay silent this long without showing emotion, that's not weakness. That's calculation. He's waiting for something." Sun snorted coldly. "You're overthinking it." The room fell into brief silence before Sima Yan rubbed his temples wearily. "Enough. Just remember, don't provoke him first. Let him make the move. Once he does, we'll handle it." Outside, the days passed quietly. Half a month slipped by. Wang Lin remained in the same place, sitting cross-legged in meditation. The once hostile army camp had become his silent cultivation ground. 13 mirrored his calmness, quietly cultivating beside him, while Hu Pao grew more and more restless. Every passing soldier's sneer, every mocking glance made his blood boil. Yet, bound by respect for Wang Lin, he endured it. The soldiers' contempt only grew. The longer Wang Lin sat unmoving, the more they laughed at him. To them, he was a coward pretending to be serene. But Wang Lin paid no mind. Then, one morning, the regiment led by Sun happened to march past. Their laughter echoed as they trained. And when Sun's eyes landed on Wang Lin's unmoving figure, his lips twisted into a sneer. As he walked by, he spat on the ground near Wang Lin and muttered, "Trash." The soldiers around him caught the act and burst out laughing, their mockery loud and cruel. The sound of spitting hit the dirt, a small, sharp noise, and at that very moment, Wang Lin's eyes slowly opened. His gaze was calm, yet the silence that followed made the laughter die instantly. His voice came out soft, almost emotionless. "Regiment Leader Sun, what did you just say?" Sun froze for a heartbeat, startled that Wang Lin had finally spoken after half a month. Then arrogance returned to his face. "I said, you are." He never finished. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin's right hand moved. An invisible force surged through the air. Sun's body trembled violently as a crushing pressure wrapped around him and dragged him forward like a puppet. His face twisted in shock. He struggled desperately, his demonic energy flaring, but it was useless. The force binding him was absolute, hard as steel, unyielding. In a single breath, he was before Wang Lin. His neck caught firmly in Wang Lin's hand. "You," he tried to shout, but the grip tightened. Blood rushed to his face. His eyes bulged, and terror replaced arrogance. He couldn't believe the strength pressing down on him. Not even Commander Sima could suppress him so effortlessly. Seeing their leader seized, the 1,000 demon soldiers of Sun's regiment roared in anger and surged forward like a black tide. Wang Lin didn't even turn his head. His voice was calm. 13. Recite the Sky Demon Country's 8th military law. 13's tone was firm. Those who revolt against their superior, kill. The words struck like thunder. Regiment Leader Sun's body trembled. He tried to speak, but Wang Lin's grip crushed his throat. A faint, cold smile appeared on Wang Lin's lips. A single twist of his hand, a sharp crack. The sound of bone breaking echoed through the air. Sun's neck snapped cleanly. Before the body even hit the ground, Wang Lin's celestial energy surged into him, obliterating his demonic core. As the corpse hung limply in his hand, a stream of black spiritual energy poured out from within, absorbed effortlessly into Wang Lin's body. The entire exchange took no more than a heartbeat. Silence fell over the training ground. The 1,000 soldiers who had been charging stopped mid-step, their eyes wide in disbelief. Wang Lin casually released the body. It fell heavily to the dirt before them. "Revolting against your superior," Wang Lin said softly, his voice colder than ice. For a moment, no one moved. Then one soldier shouted in rage, "Brothers, avenge Regiment Leader Sun." A thunderous roar erupted as hundreds of soldiers charged forward, weapons raised, demonic energy boiling in the air. Wang Lin's eyes flashed cold light. His tone didn't rise, but every word cut through the noise. "Revolting against your superior." He raised his hand, and a flash of light burst from his storage bag. A celestial sword appeared, gleaming with blinding brilliance. He swung at once. A ray of sword light split the air like lightning, followed by the crescent-shaped gleam of his half-moon blade. The two weapons danced together, slicing through the army like a storm. Screams echoed through the barracks. Heads flew, blood splattered, and bodies fell like rain. Within moments, hundreds of demon soldiers were dead. The chaos spread instantly. The remaining 9 regiment leaders saw the battle from afar and rushed over with their troops. In the distance, dust clouds rose as 9,000 more soldiers thundered forward, forming ranks and surrounding Wang Lin. The air was thick with killing intent, pressing like a mountain. Yet Wang Lin never stood. He remained seated, his posture unchanged. The demonic and celestial energies within him began to swirl, forming a roaring vortex. From the corpses of the fallen soldiers, dark spiritual energy surged upward and poured into him, feeding his strength. By the time the 9,000 soldiers arrived, the vortex had vanished, all the demonic energy absorbed into Wang Lin's body. He pointed at the sky, and the celestial sword and half-moon blade flew back, hovering above his head and humming with deadly light. Half of Regiment Leader Sun's entire force, gone in seconds. The 9 regiment leaders surrounded him cautiously, their soldiers forming a massive encirclement. The formation sealed the area, the killing intent thick enough to freeze blood. 13 and Hu Pao stood instantly, ready to fight. Hu Pao licked his lips and unfurled his soul flag, demonic energy swirling like black smoke around him. Still, Wang Lin sat cross-legged, his expression tranquil. His voice was calm, steady, and impossibly cold. "Are you all revolting against your superior?" His words sent a chill through the 9 leaders' hearts. Their eyes darted around the blood-soaked ground, the severed heads, the crimson-stained dirt. The quiet menace in his tone crushed any thought of defiance. Before they could answer, a furious roar tore through the air. Sima Yan descended from the distance like a storm, his armor gleaming under the demonic light. His face was dark, his aura fierce. He landed before the carnage and shouted, "Commander Wang, no matter your reason, you killed a regiment leader and slaughtered his men. This cannot stand." Wang Lin turned his gaze on him, unshaken. A faint smile curved his lips. 13. Recite the Sky Demon country's 13th military law. 13's voice rang clear. Those who besiege a military camp must retreat within 30 breaths of time. If not, kill. Now recite the second law. Using immortal slaying level formations internally without permission must cease within 20 breaths. Otherwise, it is a felony. As 13 spoke, Sima Yan's expression changed. Realization dawned. He finally understood. The silence, the patience, all of it had been preparation. Wang Lin had been waiting for this, waiting for them to make the first mistake. To give him the right to strike without breaking the law. The other regiment leaders exchanged uneasy glances. 3 of them stepped back immediately, unwilling to be dragged into the storm. Wang Lin closed his eyes once more, his tone soft but final. 13. Begin timing. 13 nodded, his voice calm, measured. 13 breaths have passed, 16, 15, 14, 13. The moment Wang Lin's voice faded into silence, the tension in the camp was unbearable. 9,000 demon soldiers surrounded him, their killing intent thick like a storm. Then, Sima Yan's shout pierced through it. "Scatter!" The single command echoed with authority. And at once, the entire army retreated. The formation collapsed, leaving the open field heavy with blood and dust. Just then, a faint bloody light shimmered in the air at the center of the camp. From within it, 2 figures appeared. One was the army's steward, a thin, sharp-eyed man whose expression was unreadable. Behind him stood an old man in plain linen clothes, his long white hair flowing freely. There was something extraordinary about him. Even the air seemed to shift with his presence. Wang Lin's eyes opened instantly. His gaze pierced through the distance and locked onto the old man. For a heartbeat, the two simply looked at each other, and in that instant, both felt a tremor in their hearts. Wang Lin could see it, 4 seals hidden deep within the old man's body. And the old man, shocked, realized that a single glance from Wang Lin had nearly shattered those seals. The two stepped forward, crossing the air with effortless movement, until they stood only a few dozen feet apart. The steward's cold eyes swept over the carnage, the corpses scattered across the ground. The thick smell of blood in the air, yet his expression didn't change. Sima Yan quickly bowed and said loudly, "Lord Steward, the commander killed regiment leader Sun without reason, and more than 500 demon soldiers. All of us witnessed it." Without a word, Wang Lin waved his hand. A piece of jade flew gently toward the steward. The steward caught it, pressed his demonic energy into it, and scenes immediately flooded his mind, clear, precise, every detail of what had occurred. When the vision ended, the steward lifted his head. The look in his eyes had changed completely. He had underestimated Wang Lin, but now, seeing how this new commander had turned the law to his advantage, leaving no room for accusation, he couldn't help but admire him. A faint smile appeared on his thin face. "Commander Wang, thank you for your diligence. Those who dared to revolt indeed deserved death. I'll report everything to the Lord General." He clasped his hands respectfully, and the old man beside him also bowed slightly, his tone sincere. "Commander Wang's cultivation is remarkable. I am impressed." The two departed, their figures fading from sight. Sima Yan stood motionless for a long time, then slowly exhaled. He clasped his fists toward Wang Lin. "I was reckless. I hope the commander will not take offense." His voice carried genuine caution now. The arrogance he once had was gone. Seeing this, the other regiment leaders quickly followed his example. One by one, they stepped forward, bowing respectfully. This subordinate was also reckless. Please forgive us, Commander. The atmosphere shifted. Everyone understood now. This new commander was not someone to test. He had waited silently for half a month, and when he finally moved, it was with terrifying decisiveness. One strike had wiped out an entire regiment, and by doing so through the military laws, he stood untouchable. Wang Lin rose slowly to his feet. He pressed his palm lightly against the ground. A deep rumbling sound echoed across the camp. The earth itself trembled. Beneath their boots, it was as though dragons were moving underground. The entire field sank by 1 inch. And then, with a deafening roar, dirt began to surge upward before Wang Lin's feet. Dust filled the sky, and from that storm of earth, a pagoda began to take form. In the span of a few breaths, a 2-story pagoda stood tall in the center of the camp, plain, yet radiating an unmistakable aura of majesty. The soldiers stared, speechless. With a single motion, their commander had reshaped the ground beneath them. All of you may leave. His calm voice cut through the silence. Then, without another glance, Wang Lin turned and entered the pagoda. 13 immediately followed. Hu Pao lingered a moment longer, his eyes sweeping over the soldiers who had once mocked them. He sneered faintly, satisfaction gleaming in his eyes. Every ounce of anger from the past half-month was gone. With newfound pride, he followed Wang Lin inside. Outside, Sima Yan clenched his fists, his expression unreadable, and walked away without a word. The remaining regiment leaders exchanged glances, silent, uneasy. They understood what this day meant. From that moment on, the balance within the Black Armor Army shifted. Of the 8 regiment leaders who once followed Sima Yan, only 3 still did. The others began to distance themselves quietly. And Wang Lin, without issuing a single order, had made his authority absolute. Far away, in another camp within ancient Demon City, the night was calm. The city was vast, home to 16 black armored divisions, each marked by different insignias. In the third camp, under the faint violet glow of the demon spirit land's moon, a woman sat alone, deep in meditation. Yao Xixue slowly opened her eyes. Her beauty was cold and ethereal, her gaze sharp like crystal. The moon outside shimmered with a strange purple hue. Tonight was the semi-annual rise of the purple demon. A celestial event said to bridge heaven and earth. No one truly knew its meaning. It was an ancient mystery whispered through generations. Yao Xixue stood gracefully, scanning her surroundings with divine sense. From her bag of holding, she drew out a crimson compass, its surface faintly glowing. She hesitated, her voice soft but determined. I've gone to that place 3 times, and each time, I was stopped at the same point. Father said I must reach the ascendant stage to enter. Her brows furrowed. According to Father's plan, I'll stay here until I've absorbed enough demonic energy to break through. With the blood soul pills, I have an 80% chance, but that token appeared during the tide phase. She fell silent, lost in thought. When Father and the All-Seer came here years ago, they learned of that place from a demon emperor. He never had time to explore it, but after all his research, he believed it was real, 60% certain. After a long pause, Yao Xixue sighed. Forget it, I'll try once more. If I still can't enter, I'll wait until I ascend. From her bag, she drew out a small wax-sealed pill covered in tiny glowing runes, each one pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. She crushed it gently between her fingers. A single drop of blue blood floated out, shimmering under the moonlight. Without hesitation, she bit her finger and drew an intricate symbol in the air. Fusing her own blood with the blue drop, pain flickered in her eyes as she pressed the mark between her brows. Moments later, she exhaled shakily, withdrew the symbol, and released the blue blood back into the air. Then, stepping onto the compass, she activated it. Symbols surged outward, wrapping around the room in a storm of light. In 3 breaths, both she and the compass vanished. Time moved quietly. Back in the Black Armor Army, Wang Lin remained reclusive. He rarely left the pagoda, spending his days deep in cultivation, refining the balance between celestial and demonic energies. Pushing toward the late soul transformation stage. His distance made him untouchable, mysterious. Just as mortal kings ruled through awe, Wang Lin's unseen presence commanded reverence. Every soldier in the camp felt it. Without appearing, his authority only grew stronger, until even Sima Yan's shadow dimmed beneath his name. Hu Pao thrived under him, his easygoing nature winning the trust of the soldiers. He even found himself drawn to a woman, Shu Yu, a team leader whose beauty startled him at first sight. Meanwhile, 13 remained as always, silent, disciplined, and unwavering beside the pagoda, like a sentinel carved from stone. Months passed. In Yao Xixue's chamber, a blue light suddenly flared to life. Runes spun wildly in the air around a churning sphere of blue blood. It pulsed and grew, boiling as though alive. Then, in a dazzling flash, the blood shrank and reformed into a woman's shape. Within 5 breaths, Yao Xixue stood there again, reborn. She opened her eyes slowly, exhaustion flickering behind their brilliance. "I failed again," she whispered. "Without the blood soul pills, I would have died 4 times. But this time, I broke through more than half. If only there were someone to help me, I would have succeeded." Her gaze turned distant, thoughtful. A name surfaced softly in her mind. Wang Lin. This episode reveals 2 parallel developments that deepen the story's tension and expand the world of the demon spirit land. On one side, we see Wang Lin's authority and power solidify within the demon army. After a brutal confrontation with regiment leader Sun, Wang Lin demonstrates not only his immense cultivation but also his cunning and control over the situation. By presenting evidence of his actions and constructing a massive earthen pagoda with a simple wave of his hand, he firmly establishes his dominance. His silence and mystery gradually transform into unshakable majesty, earning fear, respect, and obedience from the soldiers and even his rivals like Sima Yan. On the other side, the focus shifts to Yao Xixue, who embarks on a dangerous attempt to reach a mysterious place connected to her father's secret plans. Using a magical compass, a drop of blue blood, and forbidden blood soul pills, she performs a powerful ritual but ultimately fails once again. Despite the risk to her life, her determination remains unshaken. The process shows both her strength and her desperation to break through to the ascendant stage. By the end of the episode, as Yao Xixue reflects on her repeated failures, a thought surfaces: if there was someone to help me. Wang Lin. This closing line hints at a future connection between these 2 powerful figures, suggesting that Wang Lin might play a crucial role in her next attempt or in uncovering the ancient secret her father once pursued. Overall, the episode marks a shift in power and destiny. Wang Lin cements his command within the demon army, while Yao Xixue's ambition sets the stage for their fateful encounter.